Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, this seems like a great idea, doesn't it? As you said, I mean, there's about 38% of Scots that are in the rental market, so this tackles or helps a big group of people, and it probably doesn't cost government that much money to impose a rent freeze. After all, it's not them that pay rent or charge it. But this creates two big problems. The first big problem is that it creates more of a burden for landlords, who I know aren't in vogue at the moment, or never always in vogue. But they've got additional costs to pay, particularly maintenance and the rising cost of maintenance to maintaining properties. That will inevitably going up because of other cost increases across society. So they have additional costs to pay, but won't have that flexibility to help pay those costs. And then that leads to another problem. Do landlords take properties off the market because they see it as no longer viable to keep properties on the market, particularly empty properties, I should note. And the Scottish Association of Landlords were quite robust yesterday in their views on this, and they effectively said the blame for reduced housing stock in the Scottish market will be very much at the door of Bute House and the SNP government. So this is potentially going to be quite serious. Short term, it sounds good. Long term, this could have very serious implications, and you only have to look at other countries around the world that have similar rent controls to see that this does take properties off the market and really restricts the opportunities for people who want to go into the rental market.
Working, of course, closely with the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, and over the campaign, both had some rather sharp words in describing the other. What do you think their relationship's going to be like?
So I think the leadership campaign obviously has to be parked to one side now. Obviously, the comments, in my view, were ill-advised. I think a lot of other Scottish Conservatives believe the same. I think there's time for a reset, because after all, the Prime Minister is no longer talking to the selectorate of Conservative members who, let's be frank, don't like Nicola Sturgeon, north and south of the border. She's now talking to the rest of the country, and in particular, middle Scotland, the kind of people who aren't unionists or nationalists, who don't vote Tory at every election, might switch the parties that they vote, but probably at the moment most probably vote SNP. But they will vote for other parties, and they need to hear from leaders who work together. And I think see that open-mindedness. So I think to vote. So I think for Liz Truss to appeal to that demographic in Scotland, perhaps the kind of people who voted Conservative in, say, 2017, when Theresa May was Prime Minister and Ruth Davidson was leader of the Scottish Conservatives, to win those people back, who after all didn't vote for us in 2019, to win those people back, I think they want to see a Prime Minister who is willing to work with Scotland. They saw that with Theresa May, who in her first week came up to Scotland to visit Nicola Sturgeon. They won't agree on things like the Constitution, but on the bigger issues, I think if they're seen to be working together, and I think if the UK government is seen to be proactively working with the Scottish government rather than against it, I think actually that appeals more to those middle voters, the people that the Scottish Conservatives need to win over, but incidentally the people that the Conservatives need to win over as well.